you ever wanted to start a cult? In-game, I mean. Good morning! My name is Lorian Locke, and today I'll be running through my own subclass for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for a warlock based on the hit video game, The Cult of the Lamb. This class will give you random roguelike weapons, the ability to start a cult, and eventually become an avatar of the one who waits. This will be a quick run through of the final product. If you want to see the whole creation process, that video is already on my YouTube, and the full document for all of my public homebrew will be in the description. Now let's begin. Once a sheep to the slaughter, you had no choice but to make a pact with a sealed away power beyond your understanding. But your power alone won't be enough to please them. Armed with the power of ancient and chaotic relics, you must seek out and destroy false prophets and form a cult of loyal followers to empower you and do the bidding of your dark god. As is with all warlocks, first we get an extended spell list. Now this is a mix of spells that give you mind fuckery as an eldritch god worshipper, and some nice combat spells to give you more weapon damage. Fireball I wasn't in love with, but I feel like it was a nice way to just sort of cover all the curses you get in the game. Relics from Beyond. This is your bread and butter. I liked the randomness of weapons and abilities from roguelikes like this game and Hades. So, for a proficiency modifier times per day, when you roll initiative, you roll a d6 and a d10 to determine your weapon form, and the d10 determines the sinister essence, which is like a magical ability that goes on top of the weapon. The weapon list is pretty standard, and a lot of the essences I got straight from the game and just converted them into D&D 5e, but I did like to embellish and flesh out some new ones to fill out a d10. A 1 gives you absolutely nothing, and the abilities get stronger as we go in. We have poison weapons, healing, tentacle crowd control, which is the best type of crowd control. Malefic lets you cast a spell as a bonus action, and moving into damage options of unending, which lets you attack an additional time, and finally godly, which is max weapon damage and allows you to apply your charisma modifier to damage twice. There is a ton of variance in just this level 1 ability. It's very high risk for very high reward. Also at level 1, you get the One True Leader, which is proficiency in your choice of persuasion and intimidation, and proficiency in gaming set dice, just so you could beat all your friends in Knucklebones. Moving on to level 6, you get Fleece of the Lamb. As an action, you stab yourself to deal as much damage to yourself as you want and get 1.5 times that amount as temporary hit points for a limited time. I specifically did not put a limit on this ability because since it's the player that chooses how much damage they take and how much temporary hit points they get, it's another high risk, high reward mechanic. It's a whole action to use, and the player basically has to guess how much damage you're going to take for an encounter. Guess too little and you're just as squishy as any other caster. Guess too high and you've wasted hit points, and a surprise ambush could be deadly. This ability gives you the survivability to get close to enemies, and I based it off of the blue cloak from the game. Also at level 6, you get Cult of the Lamb. Roll the credits, I said the thing. If you can convince your DM and NPCs to follow you on your adventures, they can become part of your flock. You can only have your charisma modifier members at this point, so I would just convince your party members to join for sweet bonuses down the line. So the class functions basically the same if you have a really big cult or if it's just your party that's your cult. So talk with your DM how much cults or micromanaging both of you want to do for this. As you level up, your cult will get bigger and bigger, and that is if you can convince people to join. At level 10, you get Rituals of the Damned. These are rituals you can do once a day to empower your entire flock. Most of these are taken straight from the game. Give inspiration, which is going to be a bigger deal in D&D 1. Give people advantage, make your flock work through exhaustion, summon a demon, or sacrifice a member of your flock to summon stronger demon, or give everyone temporary hit points. Great utility and really gives you that cult leader fantasy. At level 14, you are the Ascending Apostle. Now when you roll for a relic weapon, roll the d6 twice to pick your weapon and roll the d10 twice to pick 2 sinister essences. And you deal an extra d8 of necrotic damage. We already have everything from the game since the game is kind of short, so everything beyond this is just to fulfill the Eldritch Power fantasy and make your roguelike elements better and more consistent. At level 20, as an alternate capstone ability, we have Apotheosis. Your allegiance and defiance to your dark god has brought you closer to them than ever. Manifest and become an eldritch horror worthy of worship. You don't need to eat or sleep. You get a free resurrection once every 30 days, and as a bonus action, you can become an avatar for your god, gaining resistance to necrotic damage, radiant damage, flying, true sight. You get to choose what relic weapon and what essences you have. Not to mention you get 2 temporary hit points for every sucker you have in your cult, which now has an uncapped size. Now, this high payoff is not without risk. If you die in this form, you die in real life. Just kidding. If you die in this form, your soul is consumed by the one who waits, and you cannot be resurrected at all. Nada, that's it, you're done. And that's it. This is a quick rundown of the Cult of Lamb subclass for D&D 5e, and this is the first time I'm doing this, so I would appreciate some feedback. I would love to get an ability at level 14 that has something to do with your cult, but the subclass already has, like, a lot, and it now works with or without cult mechanics, so I don't know if another cult ability would, like, mess that up or whatever. But, thank you for reading along and watching. For your reading pleasure, the full list of my public homebrew is available in the link below. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye! Your allegiance and defiance to your dark god has brought you closer to them than ever. Manifest and become an eldritch Hori.